So let's start with going into the Python shell of my project. I'm going to go into my project. Can someone remind me what my first step is when I import? Or how do I? Or what's my next first step if I want to go into the environment? Yeah, so I got to do the environment first. Okay, so I actually have a shortcut set up for that. So I'll just run that. My Django environment is loaded, and now I need to open the Python shell. Okay, does someone remember how to do that? Okay. All right, so I'm inside the Python shell, and what do I need to do next? Import. All right, so import. Okay, so what I'm going to put here? Strings that. Okay. Models. Import. Okay, all right, so I'm going to import the dojo class, and then I'm going to import the instructor class. Okay. No, I mean you can use my cheat sheet. You can use a cheat sheet on this exam if you want to. I think like at some point memorizing is useful if you want to build up speed, but like I wouldn't worry too much about memorizing it. Especially at this point. I mean, if you start working in like one language exclusively at some point, then maybe it's going to do it. Yeah, and it's also like you kind of automatically start memorizing at some point. Yeah. All right. So how do I get the first dojo? Or how do I get all the dojos? Someone remember? Okay, right. And then if I want to get the first one, I could do this, right? Because it's an array, or I could do just dot first. Okay. Now there's actually I'm gonna make another dojo first. So does anyone remember how to do that? Yes. Okay. And okay, so now if I do dojo for objects at all, I should see both of the dojos. Okay. So there's a few different ways. Okay, so those are like your most basic queries. Okay. Now I want to cover basically how you create like a specific object. Okay. So one way to do that, right, is that you run .all and then you specify the array position. Okay. The other way to do that is you can do what's called .get. Okay. So .get, you can say, I think pk equals 1. That's what it was. Yeah. You can set the primary key, right, of the ID that you want to grab. Okay. So you do .get pk equals 1, .get pk equals 2, right? That will get the object with that specific ID. Okay. .get. Okay. Now you can also specify like an attribute. Okay. So name equals, or sorry, not name. Say state equals California. Okay. That will also get me the first dojo. Okay, so that's how you select an individual one. Okay, .get only works for like a single entry. Okay, so if I have, let's see, let's say I made another dojo. Okay, I created one in Emeryville. Okay, which is also in California. Okay. Now, if I do .get with California, okay, it's going to be like, what do I do, right? Because I have two that are in California, okay? And so it gets confused. It doesn't know what to do, okay? Now, if you want to get both of those entries, okay, that fit the California, you can use what's called .filter, okay? So .filter, okay, and then I can say state equals California.
Are these case sensitive? Because you did California in the
yeah, so it's just matching as a string, right? So I think if I were to do this, it would return nothing. So that is definitely case sensitive because you're matching to a specific string.
So what's the difference between
So filter is for multiple entries. Get is for a single one. Okay. So that's why I can still use dot. I cannot use dot get anymore on California because it will throw me an error because there are multiple entries that have California, right? But I could still do dot get on Washington, which is still only one. Okay. Now I could do. I think I can do filter on Washington too. Okay. If I do filter on Washington, it'll still return back the single entry, right? But this is how is this one different from this one? 19 different from 20.
No idea.
No ID?
But,
How is this one different from this one?
That one's an
Yeah, filter gives you a query set, it gives you an array, right? So that makes sense if you want to be able to get back multiple entries, right? Whereas .get only ever gives you back the single object. Okay, so you have to be aware of which one you're getting back, right? Because if you're going to read from it or you want to display it, right, you may need to go in a level, right? Like you may need to do, like if I want to display the ID of this one, okay, right, I could do, using this, okay, how would I print this dojo's ID? So just .id. Okay. Now using this one, how would I print the dojo's ID? Yeah, index0.id. Right? Because you have to traverse through the array, right? Or possibly dot first ID. Yeah. Simple. Okay. Right. So this is why it's important to know which one you're using. And what data type you're reading back, right? You always want to be aware of what data type you're reading with. Okay?
So can you set your query in your views instead of in the shell?
Can you set your query in your views
So
instead of in the shell?
So doing the dojo object, you can do it in views.
Views.py? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. We're just covering it right now because it's more isolated, and then later when you guys start integrating stuff with your Django routes and views and stuff, then that is what you're going to do.
What is a PK?
PK stands for primary key, so it just refers to the ID. Yeah. I don't know if you can do. Can you do ID equals 2? I don't know if you can do it or not. Does that work? It also works. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions with this?
So it could be 122.
Uh huh.
So that 0 refers to value.
0 refers to the index position, right? So dojo.objects.filter state equals Washington gives us back this array, right? This what I have highlighted. And then when you do index 0, you're doing, the array only has one element inside, right? And so you're doing index position 0, which will basically give you this. All right, any other questions?
So filter will return an array.
Mhm.
So basically to designate a number index of the array, it's going to be a comma and whatever value.
Comma?
After the first index, or did they find multiple values?
I'm not following.
So if you have something in position 0, if you have some value in index 1, how would that appear?
We had some value in index. Okay, so yeah, so if my, let's say I did this one, right? This returned me an array with 2 things inside, right? If I want to get that second one, I could do, index position 1, right? That gives me that, right? And then if you want to read a specific attribute, you just read the specific attribute from the object. So for instance, how would I read the location from here? Dot location, right? So 1 gives me back this object, and then if I want to get the attribute within the object, I do dot location. Okay. So it's the same as you just have an array that has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If you want to get the 3, it's index position 2, right? So it's just that what you have inside is an entire object.
If you do have 5 in your file, can you do Like producing 1, 2, 3 if you wanted to see that decision? Go that way?
I don't think you could type it out like that. You could put a for loop,
Okay.
right? You can make a for loop and then have the I be something, 0 to 3 or whatever, and then put the I in the array bracket.
For loops in the shell, or is that just something
You can, but it's okay. So for I in range 0, 3 colon print I. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to. It's like a little trickier because you have to write it with like the dots. I mean, the dot it shows up automatically, right? But you just have to. You just have to be really careful with typing, I guess. Yeah, but you can. So, for instance, like we could do if I wanted to print the first two for I in range 0, 2 colon print. You can just say dojo dot objects dot all provide I. Okay. I'm ready to print it. Yes, see, this is where it's weird. Okay, there we go. All right. Any other questions?
So, Dojo and the instructors are one chain level relationship.
Yes.
What if you want to put a new instructor? What do you put for the Dojo?
If I want to create a new instructor, okay, so here's my instructor object, instructor.objects.all. Okay. If let's say I could say d3 equals dojo.objects.get 3. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay. All right. So this is my third dojo, right? I can make an instructor by instructor.objects. I'm just going to try and to see what the instructor looks like. Okay, instructor.objects.create, and then first name colon Anna. Okay, and then dojo equals d3. Okay, you specify which dojo you want to set, and then if I do that, then I need to fix the colon. And there we go. And so you have to already have the dojo object in place, basically, right? So assigned to it. And alternatively, I could have just written like equals dojo.objects.get ID equals 3 or something. Right, I could do that as well. Grab it all. All right. Any other questions? Okay, all right, so those are your basic select queries. We also have, let's see what else I want to cover. I wanted to also cover your basic queries, covered filter, okay. There's also this exclude, right? So that's everything but something. So for instance, if I wanted instructor.objects.exclude first name equals Anna, okay? This will give me back everything but Anna, right? As opposed to this one, which includes everything, including Anna, okay? Same thing, I could do like, if I could run the same thing exclude on California and it would only give me back Washington. Okay, so that's exclude, that's filter. You can also, there's this thing called a condition filter, okay? So this is like, you can add this underscore to it, okay? So for instance, I can say include, so filter, we'll do the filter, okay? First name I'm gonna make another instructor first. Okay. Instructors.objects.create first name equals Amy. Dojo equals D1. D1 is not defined. Okay. Dojo.objects.get ID equals 1. Oops. I don't know. What? Wrong stuff. Did I forget one? Oh, I forgot. It's okay. No? Nope. Okay, this is not working. No. Dojo objects get ID 1. Alright, so I made another instructor with starting with letter A, right? So I could do instructor objects.filter first name underscore starts with equals S. Starts with equals A. Okay. So it only gets me with instructors that have first name starting with A. Okay. So you can be more specific, I guess, basically with your selecting specific, even like filters, right? With some of these underscore methods. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all of those, but just know that you have some of these underscore methods and they're on the platform. Okay. You can also combine queries. Okay. So you can do both, right? So I could do like first name starts with A, and then dot filter. No, first name equals Amy. Okay. A little redundant, but whatever. Okay. It only returns Amy. Okay. All right, so you can combine filters. All right, so when you are ready, when you're done with all the filtering, right, you can also display it in a template. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the view stuff now. So if we have these views. So I have in my views.py, I have an index method. Okay. All right, so I'm going to exit the shell now. Okay. I'm going to start my server, Python manage.py and server. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to go to my local host. 1000. Okay, I'm actually going to get rid of this stuff right here, so I don't really need this here. Okay, this is my index. So I have my index page. Okay, now if in my views.py, let's say I wanted to display all of the dojos. Okay, any idea how I might do that? Yes, but what do I do before I even do that? In here?
Yeah,
Yes, you will eventually need that, but let's just get the stuff here in the index file first. What do we need? Yes, okay. So we're going to do that first. Okay, so we have here. Okay, so do I need actually do I even do that? I think I need it, but I'm just gonna confirm. Okay, all right. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna try it. Instructor dojo objects all. Okay, so let's just try running this first. Okay. Dojos equals dojo.objects.all. Okay. Yeah, I think I will need it, but I'm gonna run it without it first. Okay. All right, so if I run this now, okay, try to reload my page, it's going to crash. Okay, it says unindent does not match. That's not the error I was looking for. Okay, so this is tab. This is space. So let's try that again. Okay. Now refresh the page. Okay. Global name dojo is not defined. Okay. So that means we need to do this import. So from .model. Is it model or models? Models. Okay. Import dojo. Okay. All right. So now we have it imported. We can run this page. Okay, and then it loads, and I can actually try printing dojos to make sure I have everything. All right, so if I refresh the page again, did I misspell something? Okay, all right, so here I actually print all my dojos. Okay, so this is how you're able to grab all your objects while inside your views.py. Okay. Now, if I want to pass this to the HTML template, we can build a context, which is what Eric's mentioned, right? And then what would I put in here? What would I have to put here? Dojos. Okay. Quotes. Yeah. Quotes. Yeah. Dojos. Yeah. And then. Yeah, so I can either put dojo to object to all. If I do that, then I don't even really need this part anymore. Oops. Okay. So now I have my dojos. And then what do I need to do? Render context. Yeah, so I need to also add context here. Right, so I have it stored inside a dictionary, right? And then I'm going to pass it in along with the HTML file to my HTML file, okay? To this render. Okay, so from here, I can first make sure everything shows up okay by just writing dojos. Okay, so if I reload this page, okay, I have all that, right? Now, how do I display just say like the locations? Dojos.locations. That. Yeah. So you can't call dot locations on dojos, right? Because dojos is an array, right? Dojos doesn't have an array doesn't have a locations method, right? So if I try to do this, it's just going to crash or do nothing. Okay. So what do I need to do instead? For loop. Okay. All right. So what does my for loop need to have? Yeah, for dojo and dojos. Okay, because you're going to be looping through the dojo's array, right? So you got to give each element in the array a name, and the logical name would be dojo, right? Because it is a dojo object. Okay. So for dojo and dojos, and then what I do? Dojo.location. Okay. All right. Am I done? There we go. In the for loop. Okay. Because I'm in the Django shell. All right. So we do that. Then there we have it. San Jose, Seattle, and Amigo. Okay. All right. Any questions on this part?
How can you get a little cookie?
CSR
Yeah,
artifact token? That's only for if you're submitting a form. Any other questions? Okay, all right, so we have successfully moved our model's information, right, to the view, okay? Now, what else did I want to do? Okay, so we did that, just I did iterating the data, okay, user manager, okay, all right, so we have here these dojo classes, okay? When you do a validation, okay, you actually ideally want to put your validations for your models inside your model class, your models.py file. Okay. The reason for that is because you're doing data validation. It relates to data, right? And in our MVC architecture, right? Model, view, and controller. Okay. Views.py. Which one is it? Controller. Right? This is views.py. Okay. All right. Templates. Which one's it? Is it? View. Okay. And this one should be pretty easy. Models.py. Which one is it? So you are validating data, right? So that should go in a model. Okay? Models relate to all the data related stuff, right? So if you someone has submit something in a form, like so for instance like login and registration, and you're validating whether their input fields are valid or not, you take the inputs from the post request, okay, in your views.py, and you should be routing it to your model.py, okay? Once it's in the model.py will actually do the validation. So like for instance, if you're doing password authentication to make sure the password is correct for login, or you're like someone's registering, you're making sure that they gave you a password or the password has a specific length, those things should be in the model. Okay, you could do it in the views.py. Your app will work, but you would not be following good sort of MVC architecture. Okay, and the reason you want to have it in your model.py is because sometimes you could be creating data from more than just one method. Okay, so right now your applications are fairly simple. So like if your login and registration path, it's all funneling through that one views.py method for logging in and registering. So it wouldn't actually be any like messier of code to have it in your views.py, even though it doesn't follow the MVC architecture. But if, for instance, you add an API and now you have a mobile app and people can log in and register through the mobile app, you want the same login and registration logic to be in place for your application to handle that whichever path it's coming in from. Okay, and so then it makes a lot more sense to have one centralized place in your model and just have both of them route to them. Okay, to do the logic. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our validations to these models. Okay, so to do that, we're going to add what is called a manager. What?
So you mentioned previously that you have like fat model and skinny controller.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just like refresh like why it's
So you should have fat model scaling controller is because in like right now for your applications, your models may not be fatter than your controllers, okay? But as you get to a more complicated web architecture, you should have a fat model and scaling controller because you should have a lot of data to process. If you have a fat controller, it means you are probably not following good MVC architecture. Like you are probably doing your validations in your views.py rather than doing your models file, because and that will lead to messier code as a whole. So yeah, that's basically it. So we need to add this manager. Okay, so if you look at the cheat sheet, I have in this line objects equals user manager. Okay, so we didn't cover this yet yesterday in creating the user class, and it doesn't exist right now in any of these classes. Okay, by default there is actually a objects equals models manager. Okay, this is actually here. Okay, but you don't have to write it in. Okay, does anyone have any idea why you might not have to write it in? Yeah, but yeah, it's already in models.model, right? So what this means is you're subclassing from another class called models.model. And models.model has this line of code, objects equals models.manager. Okay, so the reason you can do, dojo.objects.all, right? Like you never wrote a .all method, right? Or you never wrote a .create method. But you can use both of them because those are already part of models.model, and you're just subclassing it from it. Same with your filter, exclude, everything else. Okay, so one of those things in there is this objects equals models.manager, and it's actually this particular method designation that gives you the ability to do like objects.all. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is, since we're adding additional methods for validation, we are going to be subclassing models.manager. Okay, and once we have a subclass, we can add our own methods to do those validations. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to add objects equals, technically, probably want to call it dojo manager. Okay, so this is the manager within your models.py file that you will be using for creating any additional model methods, such as your validations methods. Okay. So once I have this in place, I can also create another class, which is the manager. So I'm going to copy this, adding model level validations. Okay, and I can add this here. So class dojo manager, which inherits from models.manager. Okay, right, which is the same as what this was before, right? And then I can define any methods I want to have here for doing my validations. So for instance, if I wanted to create a method for say validating that dojo city validation. Okay, dojo location must not be blank validation. Okay, super long, but that's my validation. Okay, dojo location must not be blank. Okay, and then I can return. I'm going to return. I'm going to return an array. I'll return an array with the okay, I'll decide what to return it to. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to return true for now. Okay, so if I want to call this, I'm going to have a validation here, right? So I'm going to say, I already have here this post data parameter, okay? So I'm going to be passing that in when I make the call to this method, okay? And I'm going to check, okay? So I'm going to check if post data of location equals empty string, okay? Then I'm going to also have like an errors array, okay? And I'm going to say errors.append location cannot be empty string. Okay, and then I'm going to return an array of the errors and the and then let's see if errors dot length of errors, okay. If length of errors equals 0, okay, then that means that I have basically no errors, okay. So if I have no errors, then I can it should be if. Well, I'm think. Okay, I want to make this a little simpler. I'll build this out more as we go. Okay, so I'm just going to go with this first. Okay, I'm going to print the errors. Print the errors. Okay, all right. So I'm starting with an errors array, and I'm going to be passing in some post data with the key of location. And if that happens to be empty, then I'm going to add this string to my errors array. Okay, so here in my views.py, I can actually call when I load the page, let's say I don't have a create method right now. All right, let's add a create method. Okay, I'm going to quickly add a create method. So I have this added to HTML, so I have this form here already. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add this. Okay, and then user ID /create. Okay, and here I'm going to be creating an instructor. Okay, form for creating an instructor. And then let's say for the instructor, I just have a first name. I don't need a hidden input. And they have, well, I'm creating a dojo. A dojo. Okay. And then it just has a location and a state. Okay. And so when I submit this form, it's going to go to dojo /create. All right, so well, actually, this is going to be a good exercise for us too. Okay, so I have this form. What do I do next after I've built this form out? For if I want to have a form for basically creating a dojo. Use .py, okay, and do what? Okay, so what is the next place? We do need to do that, but what is the next place this is going to go? URLs. Okay, urls.py. All right, so let's add that first. Okay, so we need to. What do I need to put here? Dojo /create, right? Okay. Dojo /create. Okay, and then what would I put over here on the right? Huh? Use that. Okay, dojo create. Okay. All right. So from here, if I go to views.py, I can then make a dojo_create method, which is what Jesse was talking about. Okay. And then what I want to do in here. Okay, so I'm going to redirect to slash. Okay, let me just go back to the home page. Okay, all right. So let's just see if this is working. Okay, so this route is working. It's not doing anything yet, but print in dojo create method. Okay, so when I submit this, I should be able to see that this is working. Okay, so I refresh the page. Okay, I'm gonna hit submit. Okay, it should go back to the same page, but inside here it will say in dojo create method, right? So I successfully went to the dojo create method. That entire route is working. Okay, so now I need to actually create a dojo, right? So how would I create a dojo here, according to what we've been doing so far? Yeah, dojo to objects I create, and then what I put here? Request.post location, right? And then state equals request.post state, right? Okay, so this will create those the dojo object. Okay, so let's try this out. It's not like something. Okay, all right. So let's add a dojo location. Dallas is in Texas. Okay, so if this works, I can submit this, and there we go. Okay, I added the Dallas location. Okay, so we have things getting saved in the database now. We're creating our entry. Okay, but we haven't done any validations yet. Okay, so one way to do the validation, right, would be to do a validation here and just say if request.post location, right, equals none or equals blank, right, then I'm going to like just return redirect, right? Else I do this, right? So now if I try to do this, refresh the page, and refresh the page. It's not none, it's just empty string. Okay, so if I try to submit now, no, nothing happens. Okay, it won't create it, right? Because it's complaining that there's no location. But I could make one just called A, right? And that'd be fine, even though there's no state. Okay, so this would be doing a validation, but this would be doing the validation in the views.py. And we want to do the validation in the models file. Okay, so the way that you convert this to doing in the models file is instead of writing it like this, okay, you instead call the method that you're writing here. Okay, so my method is called this, which is super long, but you can use this. Okay, so now I would do dojo.objects.this. Dojo location must not be blank, validation. Okay, and then I need to pass in the post request data, Okay, so I actually have the post data here. I think you can actually make a new dictionary, okay, called post data, okay, and then I can say like location equals request.post location, okay. State equals request.post state. Okay. So now all of that is in a post data dictionary, and I can pass this along inside post data. Okay. So now if I did this, okay, and then I'm going to save this. I want to say this is model response. Okay. Okay. And I can also print the model response. Okay, so just confirm that this is the correct syntax. So user.objects user.objects.login, and then pass in the user hash. And then here I'm doing logging the objects to passing the hash. Okay, so this should be correct. All right, so now in here I'm just going to return true. I will print the errors. Oh, this is the other right.
For that one, if you go above to dev index, you have the dictionary called context.
Yeah.
And on the return, you included that context. How come it wasn't included for that one? The post data at the bottom, where you have the
here.
redirect? Yeah. Oh, because it's all together. Oh, okay, got it.
All right, so let's try running this. So if I were to refresh the page, nothing crashes, and now I were to put something in here. Okay, I hit submit. Okay, I should see true, right? True is what was returned from my models. Okay, so it went through all this, right, and then it ran this method, right? What I returned, I assigned to model response, okay, and then it ran this method, right? Printed the errors, though the errors was just an empty array, right? It should have been an empty array somewhere. Oh, there is an error actually. I had no location, right? So location cannot be empty string, okay? And then it printed, and then I printed the response, the model response, okay? And then I just did the redirect. Okay. So from here, you need to write this such that you basically get all the information back that you want. Okay, so if you want the dojo object that you just created, then you better return that dojo object, right? If you also want to know if there's any errors, then you better return that. Okay, so I'm actually going to change this a little bit to if there's a post data, if there is an error, okay. So I'm going to say if length of if length of errors is equal to 0, okay, I'm going to return true, an array of true, which represents that there's no errors, okay, and then I'm going to return the object itself. Okay, so if there's no errors, I'm also going to create the object. So I'll say d equals dojo.objects.create. Okay, and then I will set my location equal to, what's my location here? Equal to, post data. Yeah, post data location. Okay, and I will set my state equal to post data state. Okay, so I'm now creating the object, and then I can pass back d. That's how I pass back the dojo, right? And then I will have it on the other side, right, in the views.py. Now, if there are errors, okay, I'm going to return false. Okay, to represent that there are errors, and I don't really know what I'm going to return here. I'm just going to return false again. Okay. Oops. All right. I'm not actually going to be reusing this one, but I just want to make it consistent. But there's two things in each array. Okay, and that's what I'm going to return. Okay. So on this side, I can then parse it, right? You know, if model underscore response of 0, right? Meaning whether it's true or false, right? If model response of 0 equals true, right? Meaning that the dojo was successfully created, right? I can do something like print dojo successfully created. I should add a flash message saying it was successful. Okay, something like that, right? And then otherwise, I can print not successful. Okay, something like that. Okay, so I'll try this again. Okay, if I do a no location, right, and I hit submit. Okay, I should see some not successful, right? False, false. Okay, if I add a location, such as Burbank in California. Okay, I hit submit. Okay, then it adds the Burbank location, and I got a message that says dojo successfully created. I should add a flash message and true, and then the drop. Okay, so that is how you do the validations in the models. Now I know that it is a lot more code, right? You have to worry about passing all this information from the post data all the way to like over here, and then you got to pass all that information back, right? And then create the error messages, and this is all compared to just doing this, right? Which is much shorter. Okay, but that is the proper way to do it because you're actually keeping your code in your models. Okay, and you do want to do it properly when you're on your bolt exam, otherwise you will get dumped. All right, any questions? How to put the error on HTML display? Sure. Do you mean flash message, or do you mean just directly in the HTML? Flash message. Okay. Right. So flash is. You guys have covered this, right? Messages. Have you guys covered this?
It's in the platform.
This is on the platform, right? Okay. Right. I'm gonna have it here. Uh-oh. I don't have this. Okay. All right. So let's see. If we wanted to add it to messages, I don't have the syntax with me right now. Okay. I think it's like messages dot something. Django. Do you guys remember where it is on the platform? I actually don't have this in my cheat sheet. Huh? Django is it Django? Is it in Django intro somewhere? Session data and forms. I don't remember the exact syntax for this. No, it can't be the Flask one. There has to be a Django one. Yeah, might be. All right. Login and registration has it. Is it in under full stack Django? Under login and registration here? Oh, here, this thing. Okay. Bonus. Infinite flash messages. Oh, great. It is documentation. So, all right. Session. Isn't there like there's like a messages thing, right? Messages. Messages includes template messages. Store messages. Oh, there we go. All right, so we're gonna add message. Okay. Oh, you need to import. So you need to import. You need to import messages too. Okay. All right. So you need to import that, and then let's add a message. So let's say this. Okay. Messages.add message to the request, and I think I could put the string in here. Not successful. Okay. So now I believe I'm gonna try something first. Okay, so I'm gonna use this embed thing since I have my IPython working. If I were to submit a new location, okay, and submit, it's gonna freeze, and then in here I'm in the embed. So, oh, it didn't freeze.
It didn't freeze because you had something in the location. If it didn't have something in the location, it wasn't successful, then it would hit that.
No, it should
Oh,
froze
it should
it afterwards. It should have failed either way. Let's try again. Submit. Okay. Is it frozen now? Okay, there we go. All right. So if I type messages, yeah, that's not useful. Okay. Let's see. If I type messages, dot all. Does that work? No. Can't do that. Okay. Is there something else in the Django doc? Messages dots. Messages dot what? Dot warning? Oh, but I didn't set them as an error. I just added the message. I didn't set it as an error. The info? This might be an info type. No. For what? No. Can't do that either. Get message. Get messages. Get messages. No. Get request. Get messages. No. Oops, no. Yes. I added a message. How do I actually read the message type? I've tried a lot of things already. What else can I try?
And just like showing the HTML.
Yeah, I could just show it in HTML, but I'd like to be able to print it. Yeah, I could do that. Let me try that. For message and messages. Print message. No, not like that. Messages class. All right. Huh? Don't I have what? All right. I'm gonna stop the recording.